Preseason tip number one, you're going to have some nagging injuries that come up when you go from an off season, even if you were training, to all of a sudden the intensity of two-a-days, practice every day, maybe some of the intense conditioning that coaches will put you through at the start of a season. So be aware that that's completely normal. You're going to have these feelings, things are going to bug you. It's what you do with it next, right? So the important thing to focus on is to not always look for a stretch or some type of soft tissue approach right away. A lot of times that's the question I get. Can I get a stretch for this thing that's hurting? And that might be a good thing, but it also could be the worst possible thing for you to do is to, start intensely stretching an injured part or something that's nagging. You start sticking a lacrosse ball into it. It's probably, could be problematic. So what we tend to recommend is go to the athletic trainer, make sure that you get them on some type of protocol, maybe to bring inflammation down, maybe to rest, maybe to do something else, but at least you get their opinion as far as the injured part goes. Now, where I come in on the strength and conditioning side and movement side is to start thinking about those things that maybe could have caused it if it is an overuse thing. I mean, it could have been a contact, but usually we can work in and around that area. So if you think of maybe hip function for someone whose knee is bothering them, you can do things in and around your hips and maybe the joint below as well, the ankle, to make sure that you have the requisite mobility and the core and trunk stability to be able to make your knee feel a little better. So as you are sitting on the sidelines possibly, or maybe you're just getting through certain parts of practice, your warm-up, your routine should be things that are away from the injury to make sure you're improving overall body function, overall body movement, so that when things come back online with the injured part, you're ready to go. Preseason tip number 2, managing soreness. When we start a preseason, you're going from maybe a lot more intense work than you've been doing, maybe more volume, double sessions. This is a time when your body is going to sore and it's going to need to recover because you're probably going to need to come back and practice the next day. So there are little tips and tricks, and it doesn't have to be this intense ice baths and cryotherapy and crazy stuff. We can just look to focus on increasing blood flow most of the time. Try not to just sit around when you're relaxing and recovering. Try to also incorporate some time in maybe a pool or doing some light biking and some movements that are maybe different from what you do. So if you're running around on a soccer pitch or you're running around on a football field and you're on a hard tennis court, you want to try to get off of those surfaces. Do some things that are different that can elevate your heart rate, increase blood flow, maybe get on a foam roller, do some light stretching, light mobility work. This is all going to help get you to bounce back fast. Preseason tip number 3. This is a really critical one because if you've put in a lot of time in the off season developing strength and power, this is the time where the double sessions, the extra training, the preseason stuff, summer's over, you're trying to do a lot of social things. Sometimes that strength and conditioning and power work falls by the wayside. I'm not saying you're going to get the same 60 to 90 minute sessions in the gym that you were getting in the off season, but during this critical time, set up a situation where you're at least getting in the gym 2 times a week to maintain your strength and power, even if it's just for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It'll keep you in that routine of going to the gym so that you can start the season that way going to the gym, get through the middle of the season, as well as towards the end and playoff time. You want to be your strongest at that time. And what we typically see in our space is that people come back at their weakest at the end of a season. Preseason tip number 4, stretching before sleep. This is one that people commonly do not do, but it could provide you with a lot of benefit on the back end and feeling really great the next day. Even after a long day of practice and training, you think about it, if you're training all day, you get maybe a little bit of soreness, some tightness, and then people just kind of lay down and go to sleep. If we do a little bit of light stretching, maybe some breath work, this can help to kind of calm the nervous system, get you a little bit more length in tissue, and then you can sleep for the next 7, 8, 9 hours with better tissue length and kind of a calm down nervous system. So this can make a huge difference on your impact. It's something you should really try. Preseason tip number 6, proper hydration. It's important during the season to make sure that you're staying hydrated by developing the habit of keeping a water bottle with you at all times. It's not just during practices and games that you want to be drinking water. You want to make sure that it's spread out throughout the day. Proper hydration is going to make sure that your cells are operating at their optimal level. If you're not properly hydrated, your body goes into a state where it doesn't know when it's going to get water again. We don't want to fight against ourselves. So staying hydrated is going to help increase your energy and improve metabolic pathways to make you feel really good and recover properly as well. This is going to also help to flush any waste product out of your body when you're sore. It's a very important tip. Preseason tip number 5, implementing cool downs. This is something that teams typically don't do, but having a cool down, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes at the end of practice, can give you a huge benefit on the back end, especially if done consistently every day. Probably one cool down here or there is not going to do much, but if we do take the time to work on our mobility, maybe some breath work, as well as just kind of a ramp off from practice, rather than, you can get together, talk with the team as far as tactics and kind of what you did throughout the day, but this is also a critical time to help to kind of just get some length back in tissue and get the body feeling good walking off the field. Preseason tip number 7. This is nutrition, making sure that, like hydration, we're doing the right things throughout the week, throughout the month, to make sure that we're operating with optimal energy levels for training, practice, as well as competitions. Too many times I have parents and athletes ask the question, what's a good meal to eat before a competition, or what's a good thing to boost my energy before a practice? And if you're asking that question right before a practice or right before a game or the night before, you're way behind, right? We need to be doing the right thing most of the time, and it doesn't have to be this elaborate meal plan, just doing the right things, getting a mix of protein, carbohydrates, and fats in every meal, making sure you're eating 3, possibly 4, maybe even 5 for those endurance athletes, meals throughout the day, and making sure that we're trying to eat the least processed type stuff. Preseason tip number 8, this is implementing a quality dynamic warm-up. A dynamic warm-up is not only a way to elevate the core temperature of the body and get people loose, but it's also a way to go through some active motor programs that they're going to need when they get on the field, on the court, or in whatever sport and environment they're going to be in. So try to think about the movements that you choose for your dynamic warm-up and how much they look like some of the shapes that their body is going to need to get in during that competition. This is a way to actively prep them for the competition ahead.